Hi, I recently had somebody inquire how we are bouncing our mixes using the Presonus Capture. It is possible to take a recorded service. We use Presonus Capture for our church services. It is possible just to bounce a stereo mix to musicians, say here you go, or even put it on a Dropbox and share it as an MP3. And that is no problem. The only problem with using Capture to do that is Capture is mainly for doing what it says, and that's capture. It will capture the audio, but whenever it comes to doing post-processing, whether you're trying to put an EQ on something, if you're trying to just do any mixing, you really can't do that on Capture. However, you can bounce a stereo mix. Now, if you have anything more than 4 musicians, I wouldn't recommend bouncing a stereo mix, and just the reason why is things can get lost in the mix. You're not going to have all your drums might not sound equally mixed together, or maybe the input on a vocal mic is quieter, and even though it sounds great and nice and loud in the house, when you're listening to the stereo track, unless you have condenser mics set up picking up the house, you're not going to really have that from that direct line input, XLR input into your board, into Capture. So what we do, we have 2 Presonus 16.4.2s that daisy chain via FireWire one to the other that goes into a Mac Mini that we have. Mac Mini is just, I have it right here. It is a 2.3 gigahertz Intel Core i7, and we did max out the RAM on it. Good little workhorse computer, and we're able to input all of our. We have 32 tracks that we're inputting at 44.1 kilohertz and 24-bit. And what we do is what you're looking at right here is one of our services. This was today's service, August 31st, 2014. And what we do is whenever we're done with the service, I'll go in and I'll put markers at the beginning and at the end of a song, because when I want to give our songs out, sometimes people don't want to hear every song. They don't want to hear the whole service. They're just like, hey, I want to hear I did on this song. At first I was like, I don't want to do that. It'll be easier for me just to do the whole service. And when it came down to it, we ended up running into problems where maybe on the first 3 songs it's really predominantly guitar driven, and on the last 3 songs it's really piano driven. And if I bounce the whole thing as individual files, that volume difference really can create an issue, because if their input volume is not right, and maybe you have the input trim set too low, and you have really awesome power amps on your stage and they're blowing the signal out, so you have the board running really quiet, then if you look, you're going to have really small audio files. Even though you'll capture it, they're going to be really small, and the majority of them are going to have to be normalized if you really want to have that volume break through. And so we figured that if we do them individually like this, and when we normalize it, it makes it even per instrument, per service. It helps. So I'm going to walk us through that. So I put markers all where they're at per song, and so what I'm going to do is then I'll go to bounce, or export tracks I should say, and I'm going to make a folder on my desktop. This is just what I do. You do however you want, but I make a folder with the day. Go 08, 31st, 2014. And then, so create a folder, and then inside that folder, I'll do the first song we did. So here was Claus's song, The Lord Reigns. Create, hit open. So now all this, I don't like the basic file name, I don't need that. So everything between marker 1 and marker 2, all those instruments are going to be individually bounced. And that's approximately a 3.5 minute song. Another cool thing is if you put a click into your, if you guys play to a click, put it in here, and that way everybody can just dial in a click whenever they want to have a bounce. Really cool. But so here you have 32 tracks, because we have 2 boards daisy chain, plus the auxiliary 8 and 19, which adds in your effects into the mix. So you have all these tracks. The only problem is, if you look, the file size on these tracks is kind of big. It's 23.7 meg per track, and what we're going to do is we're going to end up putting all these files on a Dropbox. Now if you have the pro version of Dropbox, that's not going to be a problem. However, we don't. We have the free version, and we just invited a lot of people who accepted our Dropbox account request, and so I think right now we're at just about over 10 gig of cloud storage on our Dropbox. So we want to make sure that we compress this down as much as possible, and also if you're trying to send a file to someone, it makes it a lot easier to send than a 23.7 meg file. So there is a software called SoundConverter. SoundConverter, it is available on OS X, and it's a very, very cheap, I think it's like $5 or $10 software. It's a batch editor, so it's drag and drop. It's really easy, and the amount of extensions of what you can convert it to is just ridiculous. It's an amazing app, very clean. I've never had it crash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all my files, and I'm going to drag them over. Oops, went away. Drag them over. Here you go. And it's going to say, where do you want to save them to? I'll do the same folder. And then it just starts working. And I have it converting to an MP3. I want the channels to stay the same, sample rate stay the same, encoding same, bitrate same. So if you look here, it's working through all that. And when I'm all done, should be here in just a second, what I'm going to do, oh, look at that. So from the difference, look at 23.7 meg is what the original WAV file size was, and of course the compressed MP3 of it is 1.4 meg. So that's going to email a lot easier. It's going to save a lot of drive space on my Dropbox account. I'm going to love that. So now that we're all converted, I'll select my file here, and I'm going to get rid of all the big files because I don't need them anymore. Now I could right now just put this on the Dropbox. The only thing I would like to do is to deal with all of the quiet instrument files, you know, something that wasn't being played very loud or something. I found another awesome app called Smart Gain. Smart Gain, again, it's not free, however it is worth, I think it's about $10. It is, however, a really amazing app, and it searches the gain peak and will apply it if you want. So I'm going to select all my files, drag it here, and it looks at all of them, and you can see they're pretty small, some of them fairly non-existent. I say auto detect, and it goes through and boom, makes stuff big and nice and loud. I hit apply change. Then when I'm done with this, it puts everything back into the file here, big, and it actually does its processing really fast. It's actually already done. So when I'm done there, I can go and I can drag it to my Dropbox. I can take the file from my desktop and go bloop, drag it over to Dropbox, and I'll just show you guys. I'll just show you guys what I got here. That we have a live mix file. Here's all of our files we have on our little thing. I started this beginning of this year, so I have every service. I got every song individually tracked. You go in here, here's, you know, a ton of files. And you think, well, you know, this way people could actually access their files, but I want them to be able to look at an arrange window and actually make their own mix. And that's where this next app comes in. There is an app, and the awesome thing about this app is it is cross-platformed for Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android. So no matter what phone your team has, they can access the Sunday, the post-service performance files on the Dropbox with this app. And not only that, they can download them to their phone. and make their own mixes. They can bounce their mixes. They can send mixes back and forth. Here's the cool thing: is all you have to do is put markers, bounce it to a file, normalize it if you want to, put it on the Dropbox, and just so you guys know, I do this every Monday when I come in after Sunday, and it probably takes me everything that I showed you. It probably takes me 5 to 10 minutes because I've got practice with it, and our musicians love it, our singers love it, because let's say they want to hear how they sound by themselves, using this app for Android and for iOS. It's $7.99 right there for Android and also for iOS. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'll see if I can pull it up here on my phone and show it to you guys. But it actually looks a little bit like the a typical Capture arrange window, and that's when the files are put together. And so here I have each individual file. I can pull out my little volume, panning, or I can do the master level. I can touch a track, and I can bring the fader up, touch another track, bring it up. So I can drag every file from that Dropbox into my phone, because it syncs up to your Dropbox. You can say import file, and you can hook it up to your Dropbox file, and everyone has access to that. And it's really nice that I can sit there and I can make my own portable mix, and bounce it to our people. If I just want to do an instrumental and no vocals, I can do no vocals. I can do all vocals. I can do only vocals. So it makes life really easy post-processing, and it gives all your musicians and your singers the best reference they can possibly have, and that's their own preference for a post-service mix. Doing this allows them to be very retrospective on how they're performing. We've had some people that when they're done listening to what they've downloaded, they're like, man, I messed up bad. I didn't know how bad I was playing. Man, my timing's off. And, some people, that's what they need in order to get better. We really encourage people, do not discourage. If you're hearing stuff that makes you want to quit, don't do it. Don't quit. Keep going. Use this as a tool to get better. And for the most part, it's had such a really positive response. And before, I used to spend like 2 hours, 1.5 hours making a good final mix the next day. And with all the feedback I was getting, I can't hear myself, why'd you pan me on that side, and all this other stuff, kick's too loud, I don't like the EQ on the kick, or my guitars have too much mids in them, all this stuff. This allows them to take care of all that, and it's been really beneficial. So again, there's N-Track, which is an iOS, Android, Mac, and PC app. The Mac and PC version of N-Track, I think it's $50 for that software. That's why I'm recommending the $7-8 handheld software on either the Play Store or on the App Store. In order to do this, you need N-Track, you need a Dropbox account, and these two, SoundConverter and Smart Gain, are highly recommended. Not necessary or not mandatory, but I do highly recommend them. They do make life easier, and we love it. We've done it from the beginning of the year, and ever since then, our whole worship team has gotten a lot tighter. They've gotten better. Whenever we want to teach somebody somebody comes in, we have a new musician, we just say, hey, get this app, and here's our Dropbox account, and they can get on and they see all of our library of songs we've been doing, and they can download all the files they want, or even just the instrument that they're learning, and learn the part exactly how the current player does it. So it's made it an amazing tool. So anyway, hope you guys have a chance to check it out, like it, and if you have any questions, just give me a holler.